I don't know how this 900-kilometer through hike is gonna go. I've done like 3 kilometers and I'm dying. So I have some news. This video was supposed to be a video detailing all of the training that I'm doing in the lead up to my through hike at the HRP. However, I have COVID, or at least I did. 10 days spent in bed, probably the worst 10 days of my life. Lying in bed watching Netflix, taking a lot of drugs. It really hit me very hard. I usually brush these things off really quickly, but this thing fucked me. But thankfully now I feel a lot better, and my 2 remaining symptoms are a blocked nose, I can smell absolutely nothing, which could actually be an advantage for a through hiker. And my other symptom is that my hip flexors and my hamstrings are crazy tight, especially my hips and my legs were just aching all the time. Not enjoyable. So that's not an ideal thing to happen, obviously, 4 weeks out from an 800-kilometer through hike. But having said that, I think I'm very lucky. You know, this could have happened a day before I was set to go out on trail. But thankfully, I've probably got enough time to recover and hopefully get back to normal within the next month or so before I start. I think that's the benefit of doing what I do, which is basically constantly training. And that's really what this video is about. It's about integrating fitness and movement into your lifestyle so that when things go wrong, you've got that to fall back on. And this is typical life. You know, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. I receive messages probably every second day from people who are, you know, 3 or 4 days out or a week out from starting a hike, and they're asking me about injury concerns. I understand the concept of training for something as basic as walking is not something that's on the top of everybody's list, but it does immediately reach the very top of your list when something like this happens. One recent example is from a friend of mine who, you know, I've never met, but I meet these people on Instagram and I talk to them regularly and they feel like friends. And she had some knee pain. She did Karim's knee routine and it fixed her problem and she stopped doing the exercises. First day on her GR11 through hike, she got back to me and said, hey, this knee pain is back.
It hurt a lot and I actually quit after the first day.
So I told her to start back up again, do them morning and night, exactly what Karim did. And sure enough, 2 days later, she's back on trail, she's crushing it.
Here I am, like halfway. We just made it into Catalonia and I'm so happy.
This is kind of crucial actually, because the body can respond within a few days from doing exercises and you can relieve a lot of pain very quickly. However, as soon as you stop, the pain, the inflammation, the discomfort, it's likely going to come back. So the moral of the story is there, don't stop training. Always be moving, always be working on something. I get a lot of questions about what to do after one of my programs is complete. The answer is just repeat the program or choose another program, keep working towards something. So to that end, I'm opening up Elements as a long-term subscription on a month-to-month basis. You can choose to maintain where you're at, or you can learn the new things that I'm implementing into the program every month, whether it be stretching, loaded mobility, strength, integrating bodyweight skills, focusing on aerobic zone. So if you're interested in that, you can check out that in the link in the description below. Okay, with all that said, what I want to share with you now is what I've been focusing on with my training over the last 3, 6, 9 months before I got COVID. But first, I want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. I've been using Skillshare for a few years, long before they came to sponsor this channel. Skillshare is a giant collection of amazing classes and tutorials on every subject you could imagine. It's a huge community of curious people who want to learn different skills. Anything from video production to illustration and entrepreneurial skills. There's even a class on meditation for creativity, which I found hugely valuable. The cool thing about Skillshare is you pay one monthly price and you get unlimited access to all these tutorials and classes. Skillshare is offering the first 1,000 people who click the link in my description 1 free month access to Skillshare and all of this material. So in a free month of Skillshare, you could take a dozen classes. Most of the classes are less than 60 minutes and they've made it so easy to digest new information and apply it to really any creative or entrepreneurial pursuit you may have. So if you have a thirst for knowledge, then Skillshare is a fantastic place for you. Click the link in the description. That helps this channel out, but it also gives you 1 free month access to Skillshare. Thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. So over the last 9 months, what I've been working on is 3 different areas of my training. Firstly, building aerobic base. You've heard me talk about this in other videos, and I go into quite a little bit of depth in this video if you want to check it out. But essentially what I'm doing is working sub-aerobically, so working at a really low level. This is not high intensity exercise, but there is huge benefits to doing long-term aerobic base building within your aerobic zone. This is hugely beneficial. To be a little bit more specific, what I'm working on is walking, sometimes running if I'm going downhill, and trying to stay between 135 and 145 on my heart rate monitor. But it's going to be different for you. So depending on your level of fitness and your age, you're going to have your own zone. Go and check out my blog post. I'll leave a link in the description. You can find out where you need to be working. Just remember, you need a heart rate monitor. If you're not assessing, you're guessing. So if you're the kind of person that's huffing and puffing and wheezing their way up the uphills, then the answer to that is not to do high intensity exercise and just to destroy yourself on a peloton. The answer is to increase your aerobic function, to increase your body's ability to utilize oxygen. And that is done at a very low intensity. So it's about training smart, not hard. And I realize a lot of this stuff comes down to motivation, and that is one thing I get loads of questions on. So I'm going to be making a second part to my Chasing Motivation series. We're going to dive into self-control, power, addiction, habits, those kind of things. So if you have questions about that, I want to see them in the comment section and I'll be addressing them in that video. The second thing that I worked on was mobility and movement. So over the last couple of years, I've become more and more interested in what I can do with my body without the gym, without any kind of equipment. So luckily for me, there is an amazing facility just a couple of blocks from my house called Bamboo Body. This is an Ido Portal movement inspired gym. Well, not really a gym, but more like a movement education facility. So the kind of things that I learned and integrated into my training practice in that 3 months were, body awareness, stability, locomotion, a lot of maximal strength stuff as well, working on the rings, working on handstands, and it's heavily inspired by capoeira as well. So a lot of this locomotion, crazy movement stuff that you've seen me occasionally put into videos. And I'm certainly not a master at this stuff. I'm an absolute noob, but I got really interested in this from watching channels like Strength Side, Dan Altman, Will Brown, Passive Hang, Jungle Brothers, all these guys putting out awesome content and great information, and it's just a lot more of a focus on fun and being outside, movement, climbing trees, as opposed to being in a gym and doing what everyone else does. That has very little to do with hiking, but it does set a good precedent of continually moving every day and working on something. And the third thing that I worked on, which is what I've been doing most recently, is more or less a variation of my Mountain Proof Knees program. I created that program because around when I hit 30, I started to have knee issues. I did a coaching program from Ben Patrick from ATG, or Knees Over Toes guy, and I learned so much from that. So what I started doing immediately is integrating a lot of that stuff into my training, adapting it for the hiking lifestyle. So if there's any credit from MPK and the testimonials that have come from it, all of that is thanks to Ben Patrick. You should check him out on YouTube if you haven't already. He's amazing. So the kind of things that I've been doing for that training, this is knee bulletproofing, so Hindu squats, sissy squats, Nordic curls, reverse Nordic curls, tib raises, monkey foot raises, weighted mobility, a huge focus on stretching standards, establishing full range of motion, and then building strength within that fuller range of motion to be able to maximize the capabilities of your body. I think stretching and flexibility is the one thing that hikers are missing out on. But the thing I found that helps me most with stretching is just focusing on 2 stretches, ideally hitting them every day, 3 sets of 60 seconds of static stretching. There's nothing sexy about it, but that's the way to get more flexible. It just takes dedication and hitting it every single day. But the good thing is you don't have to do it forever. Once you've achieved it, you tick the box and move on to something else. And then it becomes a matter of using that range of motion, coming back to it frequently to make sure that you're still able to maintain that level of flexibility and use the range of motion that you have. So that's what I've been working on for the last 9 months or so. What am I going to do now that I'm post-COVID with 4 weeks left to train for an 800-kilometer through hike. Well, I'm gonna do as little as possible. I did have a little bit of experience coaching a couple of my clients that had COVID in the early days. What we determined from those experiences is that you've got to take it super slow and just integrate small amounts of exercise when your energy levels begin to increase. And that's probably the most difficult part about it, because success usually comes from having a routine and repeating things regularly and sticking to the plan. But if you don't have a plan, if you just have to wing it based on how you're feeling on the day, things are just not going to be as effective as they would be if you were doing a plan or a routine. What I would have been doing if I didn't get COVID would be working on my aerobic base and working on hill work, like uphill endurance. I actually have a program called Uphill Endurance, basically stairs, step ups, trail running, and some accessory work, core strength, some basic body weight stuff. But it's 80% working on that aerobic function and uphill fitness, essentially. So that's what I would have been doing right now. But instead, I'm doing basically nothing. So this is uncharted territory. Obviously, this is a new virus that we really don't know much about how people recover. So I don't really know how COVID is going to affect my ability and my performance on this through hike. But to be honest with you, last year, I didn't do a whole lot of training. I was doing a little bit of walking. I was really busy trying to get all my gear together at the last minute. So I didn't really do much training in the last kind of month before the GR11 either. So I'm really not too concerned. And like I said earlier, that's the benefit of integrating this into your lifestyle, doing it long term. So that's a little update on where I'm at. I've got 4 weeks before I start. Videos that are coming in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to dive into my food preparation. That's going to be a big one. I want to do one more training video. Let me know in the comments what you want to see. Do you want to see more flexibility stuff, some more mobility or weighted mobility, strength exercises? What do you want to know? Let me know in the comments. That does it for this video. Thanks for watching all the way through. Hit the like button if you've made it this far. That really helps me out. I appreciate you. I'll see you on the summit.